Elias sat in the centre of the nursery, the air smelling of stagnant dust and something unnervingly sweet, like rotting peaches. It had been 6 months since the accident, 6 months since the silence in his house became a physical weight. People told him grief played tricks on the mind, but grief didn't turn on a wind-up toy soldier at 3 a.m. He clutched a digital recorder in his trembling hand. "Toby," he whispered, "if you're here, I just need to know you're okay." The silence that followed was absolute. The kind of silence that rings in the ears. Then, a soft thud came from the closet. The door, heavy oak and scarred by years of use, drifted open an inch. Elias stood, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He approached the closet, the temperature dropping so sharply his breath blossomed into a white cloud. He reached out, his fingers brushing the cold wood. Suddenly, the recorder in his hand erupted with static. Through the white noise, a voice emerged. It wasn't Toby's. It was a rhythmic, wet, clicking sound, followed by a rasping whisper. "Not yours." Elias stumbled back, dropping the recorder. The static grew louder, warping into a high-pitched keen. In the shadows of the closet, he saw it. Not his son, but a silhouette that was wrong. It was too tall, its limbs elongated like stretched taffy, its head tilted at a nauseating angle. The entity didn't move, it simply existed in the space where light refused to go. Elias felt a wave of cold fury wash over him, a father's instinct battling the primal urge to flee. "Where is he?" Elias demanded, his voice cracking. "What did you do with my son?" The shadow stepped forward. As it hit the moonlight streaming through the window, it didn't become clearer. It became more blurred, a hole in reality. The clicking sound intensified. Every mirror in the room shattered simultaneously, shards of glass raining down like silver snow. Elias shielded his face, and when he looked up, the entity was inches from him. He couldn't see eyes, only 2 pits of infinite, weeping darkness. It leaned in, and Elias felt a sensation of absolute hopelessness. A vacuum sucking the memories of Toby's laugh and the smell of his hair right out of his brain. "He is in the walls," the thing hissed, the sound vibrating inside Elias's skull. "He is the foundation now." From behind the wallpaper, a tiny, muffled palm pressed against the floral print. A handprint appeared, the paper stretching inward as if someone were trapped in a layer of thick plastic. "Daddy?" a muffled voice cried out. It was Toby. He sounded miles away, buried under tons of earth and ancient wood. "Daddy? It's dark. I can't find the door." Elias lunged for the wall, tearing at the paper with his fingernails until they bled. He didn't care about the shadow behind him, or the freezing air that was turning his fingertips blue. He ripped away strips of Victorian lace patterns, but underneath wasn't lath or plaster. It was a void, a swirling, hungry grey mist that smelled of old rain and the grave. "I've got you, Toby! Reach for me! Please, just reach!" A small, pale hand reached out from the mist. Elias grabbed it. It was ice cold, but it was his son's hand. He pulled with everything he had, his muscles screaming, his soul focused on a single point of contact. But the tall silhouette laughed, a sound like breaking glass in a cathedral. It placed a spindly, needle-like hand on Elias's shoulder, and the world began to tilt. The floor turned to liquid, The nursery was folding in on itself, the corners of the room meeting in the middle like a closing trap. "One stays," the entity whispered, almost tenderly. "One leaves. The house requires a heartbeat to breathe." Elias looked at the small hand he held, then at the yawning darkness of the entity. He realized the activity wasn't a haunting, it was a debt. The house didn't want his fear, it wanted a soul to keep the shadows fed. "Take me," Elias whispered, his voice suddenly calm, washed clean of fear. He shoved Toby's hand toward the light of the hallway, putting every ounce of his love into one final push. "Let him go. I'm the one you want." The pressure vanished. The room snapped back into place with a violent crack. Toby stumbled into the hallway, gasping for air, sobbing as he hit the carpet. He turned back, his small face streaked with tears, reaching for the nursery door. "Daddy?" The door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the entire valley. From inside, Toby heard the wind-up soldier march for 3 seconds, then stop. When he finally forced the door open, the room was empty. No shadow, no mist, just a single digital recorder on the floor, playing a loop of a father's steady, loving heartbeat.